Jonathan Portes is director of the UK's National Institute for Economic and Social Research. Jonathan, good to see you. You've said that this is the riskiest moment for the world economy since Lehman. Just tell us why. What's your thinking behind this?
Well, I think what we've seen, particularly in the Eurozone markets, speaks for itself. There has been a crisis of confidence, not just in the fiscal positions of European governments, perhaps even more so in the political governance of the Eurozone. We've seen bailout package after bailout package, but they've consistently failed to get ahead of the curve. And that's really what's brought them to the position they're in. And then in the US, obviously, we've had what's gone on in Congress in the last few weeks, which again is not really a fiscal problem, it's a political problem.
So we got these reports that the UK economy will grow even less quickly than was thought. To what extent should fiscal policy be loosened?
Well, one of the reasons, it's not the only reason, because the international environment already has, or clearly has some influence, but obviously one of the reasons that growth is so low in the UK is because of fiscal austerity, and frankly the Chancellor is trying to cut too fast, too soon, at a time when the economy is not in a position to bear that sort of austerity, and that is a mistake in our view.
Of course, their view is that this has to be done, otherwise Britain will lose its AAA credit rating. But is that on the cards, do you think?
Well, first of all, I don't think it's on the cards. Second of all, it is quite incomprehensible to me why anyone takes the rating agencies remotely seriously. S&P, we're talking about the agency which downgraded Japan in 2002, since when we've seen the longest run of low interest rates in modern economic history. We're talking about the agency that didn't downgrade Lehman's, and we all know what happened with subprime mortgages. And then, you couldn't really make this up. A $2 trillion mistake when they downgraded the US. Why should anyone pay any attention to these people?
Let me ask you about the ECB intervention, that breaking news that we're getting reports that the ECB is actually intervening on the markets to buy Italian and Spanish bonds. Will it work? Does this work?
Well, they had to do this. If they hadn't, then the crisis of confidence could well have spiraled out of control. So it was absolutely the right thing to do. It is a short-term measure, though. Let's be clear, they've explicitly said, well, not explicitly, in ECB language, they've said as explicitly as they can, this is a short-term measure while governments get the political will to come together to deal with this crisis.
Well, they could be waiting years for that on past experience.
Well, I don't think they've got years, to be honest. I think the ECB has managed to buy them a reasonable amount of time in the markets, but when politicians come back in September, I think they're going to have to do something. They're going to have to go significantly further. As George Osborne, to give him credit, I think quite rightly is saying that the Eurozone political leaders have to grasp this crisis and take measures to deal with it. And that means a greater degree of fiscal integration in the Eurozone.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Can I just ask you just a final question about, on the R word, if you like, recession? What's your view? Is America and the rest of the world heading down that path? Or actually, we're just going through a pretty bumpy patch and we'll get through it okay?
Well, I think, as a number of commentators said, the risk, it doesn't matter so much whether we get a quarter here or there of negative growth. What matters is whether we get a sustained period of very low growth, and that's a serious risk.